I think having this space, having a larger space, has helped me be more free. So before, I probably was a lot more planned. Basically, it was started as experiments. I just wanted to see what I could do without thinking about it. The space allows you to do that. At the start, it was so like overwhelming when I first was like shown around. I was kind of assuming that I'd be in a corner somewhere and like with a bunch of other people. We were walking through and I was a bit like, is this all mine? And he's like, yeah, sure, it's all yours. I was like, how the hell am I gonna even make a dent on that space? You get used to it and suddenly like almost like halfway down and you realise you can put stuff up and spread out, do stuff on the floor, get stuff out on the floor, and it's just completely freeing. Compared to what I'm doing at home, I think it's this is a lot freer. I created all this work, all the large-scale work while here at Outpost. Yeah, it was the opportunity to use the bigger space. I've never worked at this scale before. It's been really good. Been finding it quite expressive and fun. I decided before I started the residency that I wanted to use like large marker pens. So I've been doing some like smaller work. And I really enjoy the kind of marker pen stuff, obviously like A4, A3 kind of size. Kind of wanted to make that on a bigger scale, kind of go as big as I could. Basically found the biggest marker pens you can get and you can fill them with your own ink or paint. So that's what I've been using. I've been using poster paint because it's kind of cheaper and also it's water soluble. Thought that'd be quite an interesting effect with the paper. So I pre-mix the paint and then fill them up, put water in there to make it a bit more like fluids. It's worked out all right. I think the first one I did was the square one. The colours are a bit more vivid on that, but I used actual marker pens like you get from the shop bought colours, so I'm kind of happy with that. But also quite like the one here where it's a little bit more faded out and it's a bit more watercolour-y. So this one on the left is the last one I've done. And I just wanted to go completely as abstract, kind of crazy as I could with the colours as well. I really like just going back to the marker pen thing really is just kind of those kind of really bold colours, like with human skin tones I really like using like reds and oranges and yellows, kind of really breaking it down to like the real basic colours, and also just add in like bits of blue and the cooler kind of colours just to kind of use as highlights. That's kind of what I've used with this. It's not necessarily I'm drawn to that anyway, but it kind of just seemed to work quite well with these. It feels like these are kind of expressions. I'm really interested in expressionism as a movement, and like some of my favourite painters are expressionists, but I never really like got it until I moved here, I think, and I kind of see that actually it's kind of expressing and reflecting how you're feeling at that time. What I've found, especially when I do self-portraits, I can never really do a really good, accurate representation of myself, and I find it really difficult. And I always look in my self-portraits really miserable. Like you can see on the back there, they all look depressed and like really sort of sad and stuff. And it's not necessarily how I'm feeling in the moment. But I think coming here, I was able to have a bit more nuance with kind of emotions rather than it just being like really dark and black. I like with this stuff I've done is a little bit ambiguous with like how people are feeling, which I think is a better reflection of mental illness and mental disorders in general. All the people there do not exist. So I use a website called These People Do Not Exist. So what that is AI-generated compositions of basically merged faces. And every time you refresh the page, it comes up with a brand new image. So no one image is the same as the last. Sometimes they don't work and it can get really spooky because suddenly you've got like two faces like morphed into each other and it looks like horrendous. But it felt a bit inauthentic using real people as the subjects. And I know that's a bit of a taboo to use pictures and stuff in art rather than from life. But for me, it kind of worked out pretty well. And I thought it's a really good way to have like anonymous people. So it could be anybody. And I kind of like that idea, as well as just being really interested in AI and the kind of the future of AI. I'm kind of interested in the thought of like in the future, if AI develops, will it become mentally ill? Will it reflect humans in that sense? Is it going to reflect its environment? I think Lucian Freud is probably my go-to painter, and stuff I know about him, obviously, like a lot of great artists, like a very complex person, and I think that's reflected in his portraits. But I know with the way he does his practices, he works almost like in pasto, so he's like building up layers, and that's almost part of the art itself. The whole like slide distortion thing of the project was to have distorted aspects. So I guess the expressionism, the way I got it was that with Lucian Freud, he was like expressing something from him. And I think that's kind of poignant coming from that kind of the lineage of his family and stuff, the psychology, which I'm also really interested in. I think he was aware of, he was saying stuff about himself more than the actual person he's painting. It's something I'm really interested in. I'm actually going to retrain as a art psychotherapist in October. In terms of like your real feelings and your subconscious and conscious mind, they're very different like things. I think you have to do your own art while you're an art psychotherapist. It's necessary to do the job, so you're still connected to that. But the process of art psychotherapy, when you do it with somebody, is very different. You're not coming up with concepts or ideas. It's a pure expression of how you're feeling. And, it's not like you sit there and critique somebody's work like we do. It's just another way to communicate. Whereas like a traditional talking psychotherapist will like use words as the language, as the way to communicate. Not a psychotherapist just uses, pens, paper, or paint. Planning for my own space would be good, and I think just having that option to have work on a bigger scale it's really good, and I'd really like that to happen. But I think the residency really changed my viewpoint of what I can achieve in terms of like my art and kind of the scale I'm working at. It's been really good. I think especially at the moment with lockdown and stuff like that, it's just been a bit of a godsend really, because it's either my house or work, and that's it. It's good to have somewhere you can just go and be somewhere completely different. I just want to say thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. It kind of has changed my life, the respect that it has opened my mind to what I can achieve. And I think I would encourage other people, whether you're from an art background or not, to apply for something like this, because I think it's, you don't know where it's going to go. Even if you're not technically skilled in art, I think people should apply for it.